I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Justin Vendetta, the lead developer of Verge Currency. Justin,
Hey,
thanks so
Ashton.
much for taking the time to come on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Let's start by understanding a little bit more on your background. How did you get involved in cryptography and cryptocurrency, and how did that lead to getting involved with Verge?
I was really lucky when I was a kid, probably 10 or 11 years old. I was put into a gifted school in New York, uh, and the curriculum was basically whatever you sort of lean toward naturally. And I really enjoyed computers. And within the first couple of months, my curriculum was mainly like circuitry and basic programming. So I got into basic, QBasic, and I was really lucky because not everybody gets a really good teacher, but my teacher was just incredible. He was a really likable guy, and he was really easy to learn from. And so that started my now career in programming. I just got into it at such a young age. I mean, by the time I was 12, I was writing programs in BASIC. So 25, almost 30 years later, here I am.
That's great. And when did you first get involved with cryptocurrency, and was Verge the first thing that you sort of jumped into?
No. As far as my own project, it's the first and only project I plan on ever creating myself and maintaining. But when I first got into cryptocurrency, it was in 2011. I started hearing a lot about Bitcoin. By 2012, I started looking at all the different source codes that were coming out for different coins. There were only a handful at the time. Then by 2013, I started having the idea that I wanted to put together a mining pool, um, and a lot more coins started coming out in 2013. So by early 2014, I started my own mining pool, started adding coins to it, became very familiar with the source code, as most of them were Bitcoin based. And then we had proof of stake coins come out, but for a long time it was really just two main source codes that most blockchains were based on. So just became very, very familiar with the source code. I mean, I was working with it day and night, adding coins to my mining pool, removing them. Then once in a while, I started helping developers on their code. I'd make a little pull request here or there, fixing something or updating a library. And it just became something I kind of became addicted to. It was like I realized that I was doing other computer work in order to be able to spend more time in the crypto sphere. And then after a while, I just started getting more and more, short contracts for crypto work. Hey, can you help us make an Android wallet? Can you help us make a blockchain explorer? Um, and I started doing all this kind of stuff. And then I decided, hey, I'm going to make my own project, and launched it. And it started doing really well. We started getting to me, really well was having a community. So when we first started, we started building up a community pretty quickly, and it became like a social thing to do. It was fun because I didn't feel like I had any pressure or any responsibilities. It was just kind of like, hey, let's see what the new tech is every day, and just keep messing with it every day. And it grew and grew. The community grew. The code itself grew. My capabilities grew. And here we are.
That's super interesting, Justin. And the Verge community is really large, as you guys have been around for quite a long time. And a lot of the core contributors are volunteering their time and donating their time, without getting paid. Do you see this as a unique in the cryptocurrency space? And is it something special?
I do. At the time that I launched, there weren't really many ICOs, but there were significant pre-mines where a developer or a founder would hold a reserve supply of the coin itself and they'd already have it at the launch. And I decided, since this was a project, I was doing it for fun in my spare time in between jobs, that I wasn't going to do one. I wasn't going to have any financial attachment to it. I was going to try to spend as little as possible to keep this thing running and not take anything from it. And I think that ideology was pretty popular in where our community started, which was an IRC, Internet Relay Chat, on Freenode. And I think that ideology was pretty popular, and most people said, hey, why not, be involved with this, because, we have nothing to lose. This guy has nothing to gain. And if you own the coin and you're mining it, you have something to gain by helping out. So I think that, especially to have survived as long as we have from 2015 till now, I do think is rare. And even though it might not have been rare at the time to not have an ICO because they didn't really exist at the time, to be surviving now and not having an ICO, I'd say is rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the community seems to continue to grow. Now, there's a lot of our viewers that are very familiar with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not a lot of the other currencies. And there's so many now that it can get overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Could
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
elaborate a little bit on, exactly how is the Verge blockchain different? Is there a consensus algorithm, nodes, mining, and how that differs from Bitcoin?
Yeah. So our code now is based on the newest Bitcoin code. Basically, we started with Bitcoin's code, and then we kind of bolt on each thing that makes us different. So we are a mineable coin, just like Bitcoin, but we don't use the same algorithm. We use 5 completely different algorithms. So you actually have an option of which you'd like to, and which you're more suited for. One, for instance, might be better with your graphics card. One, for instance, might be better with an ASIC rig. One might be better with your CPU. Or if you have a different kind of graphics card, it might be this algorithm that you want to use. So basically, we start off with taking Bitcoin and we attach our different algorithms. We remove Bitcoin's algorithm. We add R5. And then we have a privacy feature, which is known, it's pretty popular, the Onion Router or Tor, which helps when you start your application up for just about any coin. You become exposed on the network from your home computer with your residential IP address if you're at home. So people can actually monitor the Bitcoin network, and your home address, your home IP address anyway, will be can be found. So we have Tor there. We have their fresh new source code directly from their repository as a submodule inside of ours. So when we actually release builds for Verge, we're also building the newest version of Tor inside of Verge. So when you start your wallet up, you're actually using the Onion Router network instead of your own home IP address.
Very interesting. And yeah, I read that privacy was one of the features that you were looking to build into the core when you first started the project. Is
Yeah.
it primarily based on that still? And I see you understand on the mining section, but also on transferring coins. Is there privacy ingrained in that?
We've been really lucky that we've sort of danced around what we'd consider to be too much privacy to where we might have a microscope on us. We have what's called a stealth address option. So it's not mandatory, but what you can do is you can have a stealth address and share it publicly. And that address, people can send coins to it, but it's not searchable on a blockchain explorer. So you'd be able to say, hey, everybody, this is my Verge address. You can send coins to me. But nobody's going to actually be able to look up on the blockchain explorer how much you've received from people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a nice feature, but we don't have anything like coin mixing, where we take inputs and outputs of each individual coin and mix them all up so that everything looks. Many of them would be fake. The inputs and outputs would be fake. Some of them are not real. But I think that we're starting to see a little bit of a crackdown on that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know if you saw the news recently, but there was a guy who was arrested for owning what's called a tumbling service, which is basically just an application. I mean, the guy, by my definition and as far as cryptography goes, I wouldn't say he was laundering money. I'd say that he was mixing inputs and outputs, and he provided an application to allow you to mix up your own coin. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically like saying, hey, can I give you this stack of $1 bills and you give me back a stack of different $1 bills?
Yeah.
Well, in crypto, that there's nothing illegal about that as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, this service was considered money laundering, and the guy was actually arrested for it. So I'm really lucky that we haven't done anything like coin mixing or anything on the blockchain. We've been really lucky. I think not having an ICO and not doing things like that have gotten us really far. We've been really lucky with making strategic partnerships with MindGeek. And we have tons of partners. I mean, if you go on our website, vergecurrency.com, you'll see a ton of stores that accept our currency as payment for a multitude of services or products. And we're constantly working on more. So
That's really interesting. And just to jump back for a second about you mentioned the 5 consensus algorithms and that Verge is mineable. Is it fairly decentralized in terms of geographically around the world, people verifying transactions, and does that matter to the project that it is a certain amount of decentralization?
I mean, overall, I don't know if it matters to other people. For us, decentralization matters. especially because of the entire ideology of keeping it fair as possible. Um, yeah, absolutely. If you look at, there's actually websites that aggregate data on specific mining pools, and if you look up ours, because we have so many algorithms, there's no country or one pool that's dominating us. It's pretty well divided amongst, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 just that we know of, and then of course there's, people that just started mining, mining pool yesterday, or, something like that. So, I mean, it's kind of difficult to get 100% of the data, but from what we do know, that's been happening long term, we're definitely pretty evenly distributed amongst many mining pools.
Hmm. That's great. And in terms of the community members that are helping with the development of the open source protocol, how many people are helping to contribute to that right now? And are you happy with the pace that it's growing?
Oh, absolutely. We spent probably almost 3/4 of a year working on rebasing our entire source code on the newest Bitcoin stuff. And it was very long and exhausting, but it got us to where we are now, and we're all really happy with it. We've got about a handful of developers that help us with our main core source code, and people are constantly just stopping by and contributing. I mean, I could tell you in about 1 second. Uh, so to this day, we've had 56 people contribute to our source code, with a handful being regulars. So yeah, so I'm really happy with the pace. I mean, I'm happy that it's not just me. For the first probably 2 years, it was just me doing everything, and it was like a one-man show. But it was also nice because I had no pressure. It was just like, I'm going to do what I want. Hey, what do you guys think I should do? And stuff like that. But as we know, crypto exploded in 2016, 2017. So with that explosion and the market increasing came a lot more pressure, a lot more desires from the community as the community expanded. Many more ideas poured in. But yeah, we've been really lucky to have talented people come in. One of our other developers, Marvin, total genius when it comes to C++, and there's sometimes I'll be grappling a problem. It'll take me a couple of days. He steps in, 30 minutes, and he fixes it. So yeah, we have all different sorts of skill sets, and different talents among the community members.
That's great to hear. And you mentioned that you just implemented the new Bitcoin stuff. What is next on the development roadmap for Verge throughout the rest of 2020?
We've got a developer right now that's working on rebranding and starting from scratch a new Android application. We had a fantastic developer named Sven Van Zanten create a really nice iOS wallet for Verge with Tor built in also. As far as I know, it's the first iOS cryptocurrency wallet that has Tor baked in. And then we had a developer named Manuel decide that, hey, I think I'm going to start one from scratch as well, and try to make it look just like this one, so that we would have a sister wallet for Android versus iOS. So we have an Android wallet right now in the Android store, but we're looking to make this one a little nicer, a little faster, a little more reliable. So and aside from software development, I mean, we're constantly creating stuff in software. We actually just created a Golang programming language, Golang full node for Verge. That's in our GitHub repository. Our GitHub is like packed to the brim with all kinds of software that we've built exclusively for Verge. Then aside from that, I mean, we have an incredible, very motivated marketing team that does outreach and is constantly working on getting new partnerships. New retail stores to accept us as a payment. So yes, I mean, we're constantly expanding in a 360. I mean, it's not like, hey, we have this software scheduled. We have marketing and software running, parallel to each other.
And in terms of use cases in the real world, the ideal use case would be for payments of a specific type. And are there any other use cases for specific industries that the Verge blockchain may be of benefit to?
Well, our capabilities are almost unlimited. We have just similar to Bitcoin. We have what we'd call like an empty slot inside of our transactions. So we actually have the capability of adding information into our existing transactions now with almost anything we want. We could make smart contracts. We could do, we could enter, basically think of just an empty database. We have the full capability of any database. Um, so I mean, if we ever spoke to somebody who had a great idea and said, "Hey, I need you to, make a transaction that can also do this," we could probably sit down and work that out and make that happen on our protocol.
Great. And are you guys looking for more people to join the community, more developers, more strategic partnerships, and how can they reach out to learn more?
Oh, always. We have several different social communities. We're on Facebook, we're on Discord chat, we're on Telegram chat, we're on Twitter. Our main hub, I would say, is vergecurrency.com. I mean, that's where you can find a link to all of our chats. And of course, we're always looking for more people to contribute to the source codes. We welcome new community members. And we're not just about Verge. I mean, everybody in our community is just into crypto in general. So, we're not, we don't mind if people talk about Bitcoin or Ethereum because, I mean, it's all very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, like, I have nothing bad to say about either one of those. I love Bitcoin. I love Ethereum. So.
That's great. Well, I'll leave those links in the description box below for the viewers. That's all the time that we have for the interview, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on, Justin, for Verge. And it sounds like some great things are in the works, and let's follow up in the near future.
You guys are based out of Vegas?
We're in Vancouver, BC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to catch up with you guys. I saw that you had some events coming up in Vegas on your website. So I hope to meet you guys out there.
Likewise, Justin. Thank you.
Take care, Ashton.